Cody Worsham, who is a strategic communications and digital media director over with LSU. Sounds super official, man.
It is so official.
And he is on Twitter at Cody Worsham. Is joining us now. LSU made the announcement yesterday on the protocol for LSU football game. Scott Woodward was on a local radio show here this morning talking a little bit more about that. Also was asked about tailgate restrictions and some of the feedback that we're seeing on social media and throughout our chat app is saying that no tailgate restrictions up to this point. Worsham joins us now. Cody, if you had to describe the evil twins, how would you paint them?
I mean, I think poets is probably the first word that would come to mind. Poets and the poet laureates of LSU football, which is a title that I've aspired for. Instead, they gave me crisis and strategic communications, which is not as aesthetically pleasing.
Hopefully, that's on an eggshell card, for God's sakes. Cody Worsham joining us here. All right, what has been the last 24 hours? What has it been like? Last 12 hours? It hasn't even been 24 hours since the announcement has been made from your office, from the LSU athletic director's office, on what the protocols will look like.
Yeah, it's been busy. First, I have to give a lot of credit, and I can't give enough credit to our ticket office, who's, we're on the announcement side and the publicity side, and I get to come on and talk radio, but they're on the phones all day. To me, they're the hardest working ticket office in the country. That we just reached 70,000 season tickets last week, and to reach that number coming off of COVID is really special. And then yesterday they're the point of contact for the fan. But they're taking every call and they're responding to every email and working really hard. So they're the ones that are putting in the work, really, really hard behind the scenes. For the rest of us, we've been at this for a little while now. We've been working on this for a couple weeks, and Dan Gaston, in charge of our facilities here, is really taking point on this, and obviously Scott and the president, and it's just work. We're trying to communicate to as many people as we can, so they know what to expect when they get to the stadium, and so that they know that we're excited about the season ahead and get as many people in that stadium as we can this year.
How has the details of logistics been discussed? How I understand the plan. How about enforcing it?
Yeah, I go to what Governor Edwards has said this whole time. You can't enforce your way out of a pandemic. We're not going to be able to. It's just not logistically possible to enforce 100% of every rule ever, regardless of what the policy is. I mean, this goes back to bag checks and when it started in 9/11 or you're going to do your best to enforce everything, but, it's not going to be 100% perfect. So that's where the trust in the fan comes in. And, we trust our fans to do the right thing and to want to make this as safe and exciting an atmosphere as possible, especially after last year when you don't get the 100%, and you've got to reduce capacity, and it's just not the same. I mean, we made the most of it. We all did. That's what we do in Louisiana. We make the most of it, and we're resilient, but it wasn't the same. These measures, we're hoping, people will comply with them so that we can have that normal atmosphere, that we can pack the stands and not worry about being a super spreader. The analogy that Scott has used a lot when we've had these conversations behind the scenes is looking at Lollapalooza. They packed 300,000 people there and had similar protocols and ended up not being a super spreader. And so that's our goal. We want to get as many people as we can into Tiger Stadium for every home game this year. What's that, 7-8 Saturdays this year in Tiger Stadium, and maximize that and make sure that we keep our community safe, our fans safe, our student athletes safe.
I know that Scott was asked about it, but just from your point of view on the tailgating aspect, anything that will be announced, or is there a plan to move forward under no protocols there?
Yeah, the policy we announced yesterday was strictly for entrance into Tiger Stadium. So it doesn't apply to tailgating. Tailgating is good to go back to normal. 100%. Now we're going to encourage people to do their part as far as, keeping social distance, being safe, being responsible. If you're feeling sick, stay home, that kind of thing. But right now there's no outdoor restrictions in Louisiana. And as we know, you're much safer dealing with this virus when you're outdoors. So we expect tailgating to be back to normal. We hope people come out and enjoy the game day atmosphere. And then we're going to be doing some work during tailgating to, one of the biggest concerns of this logistically is, log jams at the gate.
Yeah.
So we're going to be out. We're going to have some golf carts going around pre-screening people. You show whatever you would show at the gate, whether it's your proof vaccination or negative test. If you show that while they're on golf carts, you'll get a wristband. You'll be able to go in the stadium. You won't have to get screened at the gate, so you'll be able to go through a little bit faster. I think we'll have a few stations around Tiger Stadium as well. We're finalizing all those details, but we're going to take advantage of the tailgating opportunity to try to make it easier for fans to get in the stadium. We're also hoping to do some pop-up vaccination events and have some spots where people can go and get vaccinated. And then if you get vaccinated on site at the game day, you can go in the game because you got that first shot. So that's what we're hoping for, is to make the game day tailgating experience as fun and normal as possible, and then also give our fans some options as they deal with some of the challenges that there will be in place to get in the stadium this year.
Cody Worsham joining us from LSU Digital Media. He's also a communication strategist over there with the Tigers. Cody, we were saying earlier, I anticipate the McNeese game to have like a big-time SEC feel to it outside of the stadium, just because it's going to be the first time people can do that, and there's been no Jazz Fest, there's been no St. Patrick's Day, there's been name it over the last year. And what do you guys anticipate? What is your department anticipating on September 11th when McNeese comes to town?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we expect. We all missed it last year. We all work on game day, obviously, but I've been known a time or two before the punching in the clock to go enjoy a tailgate on game day, and I know there's a lot of people at LSU that feel the same way. So we're excited about that. We're planning for, if not a normal season opener, something beyond that, because people do want to get together and celebrate. I know we announced these restrictions yesterday, and there's some varying attitudes on it. Of course, like, this isn't ideal for anyone. This isn't ideal for us. This isn't ideal for the fans. But what it does allow is for us to gather safely and celebrate and get back together after we couldn't do that last year. I mean, last year was awful. Last year was zero fun whatsoever. It was so much work. Like, think about the student athletes. They had to get tested like 3-4 times a week last year. They had to wear masks constantly, and just to play, and play for our fans and play in front of our people on TV, and go out there and win football games. They had to do a lot behind the scenes. So the difference this year is we got a little extra protection. We have the vaccines, and we have better testing capabilities, and so it is a safer climate. And so hopefully that's our whole goal with this, is to keep it as safe as possible, so we can get as many people as possible together to celebrate what we missed, to appreciate what we missed. I know that was me last year. I'm a guy that took this for granted, I should say. I took all this for granted. I've been covering LSU for 10 years. I haven't, it's just been part of my daily routine and my work routine. And then that stuff gets taken away from you, and you realize how much you miss it, and that you do anything to get it back. And I know I talk to a bunch of people that feel the same way, man. Like, do we want to go through the restrictions and make it harder for fans and staff and everyone to get there? No, we don't want to do that. But it's the question we always ask at LSU, this is a Stephanie Rimp special, is what's the alternative? And when I think about what's the alternative, it's being in an atmosphere that isn't safe and that is a risk for some of our fans. So we've decided to take these measures and make it as safe as possible, so we can get together, so that on September 11th we're celebrating, we feel safe, we feel comfortable. I don't know about you, but I've had multiple people reach out to me over the last 24 hours and say, hey, like, I'm excited because I can bring my dad to the game, and I was worried about doing that. Or I can bring my kid to the game, and my kid can't get vaccinated because they're not old enough, and I can bring them and feel pretty safe about it. So that's what we want. We want people to feel safe and be ready to celebrate the season, because it's going to be a celebration.
What's the interaction or communication been like with the league office on this announcement? Did they have, I guess, not any influence, but how much up to speed are they on this?
Yeah, they're up to speed. We gave them the typical heads up as the planning for this started. We reached out to them, engaged with them, and they were supportive. They haven't put any policies league wide across the way. This is leadership driven at LSU and within the state of Louisiana. We wanted to be at the front of this, and we wanted to be the best of this and have the safest and most exciting game day atmosphere. And so they were supportive. They that they've offered their help in whatever way they can. But this was an LSU decision, and this was a Louisiana decision, and we're proud of that, and we're excited for the season ahead.
I heard you mention golf carts. Is that just restricted to LSU personnel on game day, or can tailgaters have golf carts?
It'd be real shame if one fell off the back.
Just curious. Just curious.
I'll have to break out the tailgating handbook that I have in my files.
Sounds like a yes.
Get back to us. Get back to us.
Sounds like the rule's not written.
Sounds like a yes.
I'm not encouraging golf cart use. I think that's our game day personnel. I think that's for our game day personnel.
You're saying there's a chance.
I know that you are. I know that you are pressed and that your phone is blowing up. Thank you for a couple of minutes this morning, and we will see you soon.